parkrun walk to this gorgeous little garden just outside of Holyrood house. So here we are at the Holyrood parkrun. Today I am the number checker. So this involves me checking that the people get the same time number as their token number, and I just really fancied doing this role after seeing somebody doing it the last time because they were running up and down the funnel and it kind of looked really good fun. Nice and busy here today. Weather is good. Yeah, little colder than you might think, but not too bad at all. So I wonder how many people will get here today. So what role are you doing today? You on tokens?
Tokens.
Alright, I'm on the number checker today, so I think that's quite a busy role. Running up and down. Hopefully it goes okay. Is that a big turnout or?
I'm finding it really hard to tell these days, but yeah, it's definitely.
Yep.
I'm going to say 400 plus.
400 plus. Okie dokie.
James. Noah. No, Sebastian. Francis. I don't know why I'm getting you all mixed up today. Jamie Finn will be joining. He's a sort of sub-20 runner, so he'll come and join halfway, and I'll join if we need. So the basic thing is, I think most of you have done funnel managing before. Have you guys both done it?
Not me.
Yep, and you haven't, yeah. So essentially the aim of managing this funnel is that everybody that crosses the finish line, whether or not they're in parkrun, they need to stay in the funnel in the order that they finished until they get a token at the end. If that doesn't happen, there'll be a mix-up with the time. So sometimes people run in here for a bit of a laugh and they weren't in parkrun, they don't want a time. Just tell them, try to just encourage them to keep going and stay in order. Sometimes people get completely knackered and want to stop, but it's too busy a funnel to let them stop, so you need to gently ask them to keep moving. You will sometimes get people that just point blank refuse to stay in the funnel. Don't waste time arguing with them, but somebody just jump in and take their place and take their token, and then you can just put it in the discard token bucket. As long as everyone that crosses the line gets allocated a token at the end, that's the main thing. Sometimes people come in and they run hard and they vomit or are ill or trip and injure themselves. Again, if one of you just takes care of the person, there's a first aid kit at the flag and somebody else jumps in and takes their token. Most of the time though, what you'll be trying to do is get people to shout, stay in order, keep moving so it doesn't back up. Sometimes as they come towards this end, you can shout, hold your left hand out ready for a token, because sometimes if they're not collecting the tokens fast enough, again it gets backed up. It's just such a busy funnel that you need people to keep moving. There's no rocket science to it. Really, really loud, shout all the time. Keep people moving, keep people in order. If anyone's completely uncompliant with those instructions, you just need to jump in and take it. Does that make sense?
So that's our first runner coming in, so my duties are just about to begin.
Woo!
Well done. Thank you. Good job.
So what I do in this role is I check the number of the token that the person gets against my record here. So at the moment I'm checking this lady here to see what number of token she gets. What number's that?
Number 33.
Perfect, thank you, cheers. And then I go back up here and do the same again with somebody else just to make sure it's all staying in rhythm. We're at number 324 now. So yeah, quite a busy job this, having to run up and down. So the benefit of this role is that you can do lots of interval training because you're running up and down the funnel all the time. And so far I've done over 3,000 steps. So it's a great role if you want to combine both volunteering and some movement. So far we're at around 407 runners. People are still coming in, kind of walking and things. Yeah, a few people didn't take a token at the end, but my numbers look kind of okay, I hope.
So hi, I am James. I was volunteering here at the funnel, helping people finish the park run this morning. It was a fantastic experience, helping everybody finish in the right order and walk along the queue.
That's
Had
fantastic.
some really good fun with it.
And you also run this park run, or is it just one that you volunteer at?
This is my usual park run that I would run.
Fantastic. Great. Thanks so much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Yeah, so we've been clearing up the equipment for this week's park run here at Holyrood Park Run in Edinburgh. It's been fantastic. Great volunteers this week. Everybody put in a really good effort to make sure it ran smoothly, get all of the runners passing in the queue and the funnel in the right way. It's a great course. If you come to Edinburgh and want to do it, just beware of the slight hill at the start, but it's a really nice dash down to the end.
And what likes the course? Is it a track or trail, or is it a road? How would you describe it?
It's mostly road. There's a bit of grassy patches. The biggest thing you'll notice most likely is the uphill and then downhill that you'll experience here.
Is it a hard one or is it okay?
It's on the harder side of things, I'd say, but it's very rewarding and fun because it's very varied.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Most of them were buried simply in communal graves underneath Leith Wing. Well over 2,000 people. There's a little primary school just along on the left there, St Mary's Roman Catholic Primary School, and they did some building work there a few years ago, and they unearthed the remains of 80 people. So they were reburied at another nearby cemetery. One of the interesting things about the bodies that they found was not only were they buried in the clothes that they died in, but a number of them still had money in their pockets.
Really?
They were obviously buried, people were so scared of the plague that the body was just dumped in the ground and buried over without exactly.
Right. Huh.
Nobody had gone through the pockets. There was no referendum. People, at that time, we had a population of 80,000 people. It was the sixth biggest town or city in the whole of Scotland. And there was a referendum, should Leith join with Edinburgh? The people of Leith voted 6-1 against. The Westminster Parliament said, well, never mind that. It would be more convenient if Edinburgh's port was part of Edinburgh. So Leith got swallowed up into Edinburgh. That was 1920. Let's walk down to the tram stop. I'll tell you about the tram. Depending which end of the bar you were at, which end of the counter, you could still get a price. Kind of. They must have come under one licence.
Yeah, that's a big story.
There is a giant.
In the early 1800s, at the time of the Napoleonic Wars, they took the top off it and they took the sails off it, and it became a signal tower to signal to shipping. This area that we're on now, we began on the crop. One of the guys on the crop was saying you only need to dig down 18 inches and you come to really good quality sand.
Oh.
This area we are on now is reclaimed land. This was, over there was all sand. And from the 1500s into the 1800s, this was the scene of the Leith races, horse races. But Leith races was a huge sort of festival and fair. There'd be fairground attractions, there'd be races on the sand, there'd be a lot of drinking and merriment, a week-long festival. It's also where they hanged pirates. Coincidentally, I mentioned George IV's visit to Leith in 1822. 1822, it's easy for me to remember, that was the last year that they hanged a pirate on Leith sands as well. So if you imagine all this was sand, which makes sense of Leith Links being called links, because traditionally a links golf course is got sand on it, it's next to the sea, and that would have been next to the sea as well. I mean, most ordinary people didn't get a headstone back in the 1600s or the 1700s. This is quite interesting. When you bought, generally in the graveyards, if you bought a plot, it could accommodate 5 people. So the first person to die would be the person that was buried deepest. Then maybe his wife would go on top of him, children would go on top of that. So they'd basically be stacked up on top of each other. If you look round the gravestones, the ones that you can read in this cemetery, you'll find that a lot of the people were either ship's masters or ship owners. You're not seeing ordinary seamen here. What's particularly interesting about this stone is, firstly, it's the beginning, it's over 200 years ago. Firstly, we can read it, and secondly, it's continued on the back. Oh. If you come around this side, it's like flipping over the page of a book. And again, we've got shipmaster, shipmaster, shipmaster. So all these people were shipmasters. I mean, it's the same in a lot of cemeteries. A lot of people that did have headstones, the headstones haven't survived. And one person that I want to talk about is a woman called Anne McIntosh. Her maiden name was Anne Farquharson. She was born into a Jacobite family, a staunchly Jacobite family. Now, the Jacobites were the supporters of the deposed King James VII of Scotland, James II of England. He was Roman Catholic, he was deposed, and a law was passed that in future, all the future monarchs of Scotland and England must be Protestant. This presented them with a particular problem when Queen Anne died, because she didn't have any adult children, and the descendants of James, who were in a direct line, were all, Anne was the daughter of James. His other family were all Roman Catholic, but they could not become King or Queen of Scotland and England because they were Roman Catholic. So they had to go to Germany, and they found a minor prince in Germany, in Hanover, and they brought him over and they made him King George I. And he couldn't even speak English. Court affairs had to be conducted in German. So there were a number of uprisings in support of the family of James. Jacobus is the Latin for James, so its supporters were the Jacobites. So Anne Farquharson was born into a staunchly Jacobite family in the 1720s. So there had already been a number of risings, but she married a guy who was actually an officer in the British Army, the Hanoverian Army. So basically, when the 1745 rising began, a guy called Boniface Charlie came over from France. He raised an army in the Highlands where Anne and her husband lived, and she raised between 200 and 400 soldiers to fight on Bonnie Prince Charlie's side against her husband. So basically, she was on one side and the husband was on the other side. At one point, the husband, in early 1746, the husband heard that Bonnie Prince Charlie was staying at their home near Inverness. So he went with a number of soldiers to arrest Bonnie Prince Charlie, and Anne had the domestic staff, the servants, go out and clatter about and shout war cries and give the impression there were a lot more Jacobite soldiers there than there were. I think there is nothing of that original church left. So St. Ninians can claim to be older than Northwood Parish Church. He could not defend his title in April 1746 because he was at the Battle of Culloden with the Jacobite army. He was the Surgeon General to Bonnie Prince Charlie's Jacobite army. Now, as we mentioned, I think I mentioned, the Jacobites were heavily defeated, and John Rattery was captured and imprisoned, and he was actually sentenced to death for his part in the Jacobite rising. But he had an old golfing friend called Duncan Forbes, Now Duncan Forbes was quite senior on the other side, a bit like Colonel Anne McIntosh. He had a pal, Duncan Forbes, who was senior on the Hanoverian side.